Guys, I know your time is very precious, as is mine, of course. Look, welcome everybody to the first of our worldwide tour of Parallels desktop briefings. We are launching the best Parallels desktop we have ever created, and that is a fact. Very excited to have you all here. My name is Kevin Greeley. I'm the country manager for Australia and New Zealand. With me I have Kurt Schmucker. He's the product manager, our global senior product manager in Parallels. Now, one thing I probably don't need to tell you too much about, but we do have an embargo until 2:01 p.m. next Wednesday on all the information today. It's midnight New York time, and then we're 14 hours later. One other thing I'll tell you is that we do have a prize today for those eagle-eyed among you that can spot a typo. And I know in publishing and media, we definitely have some good eyesight in here. So keep your eye on my slides. There might be some typo. What's that? You have to jump up as well and say, I see it! Okay? So we'll do it like that. Oh, he's got his glasses on. Okay. It's on in the first two slides. I haven't tested. What's that? Oh yeah, and it will be, the prize will be a bottle of wine up to 100 Australian dollars, including GST. Okay, so many of you will know Parallels as a leader in cross-platform solutions. We're a company of about 1,000 employees worldwide, truly global. We're quite small and dynamic in many ways. In our stable of cross-platform solutions, we have Parallels Access for iPad, Android, and PC and Mac, where you can access any of your applications from those devices. Parallels Mac Management for SCCM. We also have Parallels Remote Application Server. But today, we're here to talk about Parallels Desktop, and specifically Parallels Desktop 11. 5 million users worldwide. I know some of you in the room also using the product. Some very key areas that our developers worked on in conjunction with Kurt's recommendations on some kind of things that people wanted to put into the product for the following year. Key things, best of both worlds. We've always strived on taking things from the Mac and bringing them to Windows. And we've done that very well in previous versions. Performance, faster, better battery, come on. Really? Okay, we've done that too, and we've done that quite significantly as well. And we know that's a very important part of everything. So every year, our guys etch more and more out of Parallels Desktop and out of the Mac. And making life easier, look, it's always going to be a focus for us. We have many new users, we're always trying to attract new users to Parallels. New Mac users, we know that 50% of them are switching from PC to Mac. We want to make it as easy as possible. And if in that transition they want to use Windows as well, great, they can buy Parallels Desktop. We make it easy for them to set that up as well. A growing user base we have now of power users, developers, testers, programmers that want to run Windows, want to run lots of virtual machines like the Mac hardware, and they want to run all kinds of things on it. We help them out too. We've got some interesting updates on that as well. And business users, Macs are growing. We're in a great sector where we're developing something that's for a growing user base. Macs are certainly growing massively, and large business and organizations are using Macs increasingly. So it's a very buoyant time for us. It will come as no surprise to any of you that we're ready for Windows 10 with Parallels Desktop 11. And also, as you'll know, we're always ready for anything Apple throws at us. So when El Capitan comes out, we're going to be absolutely ready for that with our version of Parallels. Best of both worlds. We spoke about this, and you know, we're so used to developing things, bringing cool features. We brought dictation from the Mac to Windows 2 versions ago, if you'll remember, in version 8. We also brought things like inertia scrolling to Windows, and gestures. Everybody loves their gestures. We bring them to Windows as well. But what's really funny this year And fair play to Microsoft, because it's the first time ever we found a feature in Windows that we want to bring to the Mac. So a little clap for Microsoft there. Thank you for Cortana. Kurt's going to demonstrate Cortana later on and why that is actually the coolest thing. That I'm absolutely excited about that feature, and you'll see why. In terms of the ease of use, upgrading to Windows 10 will make that very, very simple for a virtual machine as well. Sorry, Matt, I'm coming right here. Make it very easy for people to upgrade from either Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 or Windows 8 to Windows 10. And then there are simple things like location services. Well, I think it's simple, but it took our guys, our developers, a lot of time to really wire those through into Windows and have them working in virtual machines. Performance improvements, as I said before, look, sometimes some performance improvements we can't really demonstrate on the fly here. Things like battery life, take my word for it, extended by 25%. Tasks in Windows, moving files between Windows and Mac, and virtual machine boot ups and suspends up to 20% faster. Kurt will demonstrate, just so you know we're on the level, how much faster it is to boot up and shut down Windows 8.1 and Windows 10. It really is very impressive. And when you look at the machine he's using, it'll also demonstrate and let you know what kind of RAM he's using, what kind of CPU in that transition. I'm going to hand over to Kurt for the demo of Parallels Desktop 11 drums.
I saw a spelling mistake.
Yeah, you did not.
I saw a punctuation mistake.
Punctuation? No. Punctuation is a style point. Okay?
No.
Okay,
always on should have been hyphenated. Sorry.
Yeah. What was that?
Always on Cortana. Always on should have been hyphenated.
I think we copy pasted that off Microsoft, so that must be correct.
No.
Okay, as Kevin mentioned, in previous versions of Parallels Desktop, we've brought to our users innovations like Windows apps appearing in the Mac dock, like you see here. We've brought Mac gestures into Windows apps, and we have Retina support for Windows 7 and Windows 8. In Parallels Desktop 11, we've continued that work of bringing Mac coolness over to Windows, and I'll show you now. So you're familiar in the Mac with Mac Quick Look. Select a document, hit the space bar, you get a quick look at a document without having to launch its authoring application. In Parallels Desktop 11, we bring that to Windows apps. So I'll select here this PowerPoint for Windows document, hit the space bar, and I get a quick look at that. If I want, I can open it up in PowerPoint for Windows, but I don't want to do that now. I want a quick look at the document. And here also, Word for Windows. Now, of course, working on the Windows Desktop is one thing, but the quick look feature in Parallels Desktop 11 works wherever documents are stored, even on the Mac desktop, or on a file server, or any place else you can get access to. So that's one feature. Question?
Yeah, is that universal to all documents and files that are sitting in your Windows partition, or is it only for specific applications?
It's for anyone that Mac supports with Quick Look.
Okay.
So we can't.
So it's the full Mac support of
Okay.
Quick Look, it's not just a limited subset.
We're bringing Mac Quick Look into Windows app, but we can't add a new feature to Windows,
Sure.
to Quick Look. Kevin mentioned travel mode. So the way that works is you configure travel mode for a particular OS like this. I set it to automatically engage whenever I'm not on a power source, plugged in power. When I'm on battery, it goes in travel mode. And when I do that, you see that like this, I get an alert, hey, you're going into travel mode now, you're going to get a little less performance, but we're going to make the battery life last longer, which is probably what you want. And when you re-engage the power, it goes away. Another feature that Mac users have become accustomed to is the ability to right-click on a Mac icon in the dock and see the list of most recently used applications, recently used documents. That's a great way to restart the project you worked on yesterday or last week or whatever. We bring that now to Windows apps in the dock also. So here we sell for Windows, and here we have Word for Windows. Of course, if a Windows application is not document-centric, it gets nothing, like IE doesn't have anything here. So that's some of the things we brought Mac coolness over into Windows apps. But as Kevin mentioned, yes.
With that, do you also get, if an application is running in your virtual machine but Parallels is in the background, do you get the open windows?
Of course you do.
Okay.
Yes. So what he asked was, if the application is running, do you get open new document? You
No, do you get, when you right click on it,
Yes.
when you right click on a Mac application icon in the dock, you get a list of what windows are open in that application, even if the application is hiding.
Yes. Yes.
If you've hidden Parallels,
Yes.
and you right click on a Windows application icon in the dock, do you get a list of the windows that are open in that application?
You get a list of the most recently used documents, but which ones are open or not, it's not
Like
shown.
the expose kind of.
Yeah.
The last, as Kevin mentioned a moment ago, for the first time ever, there was a feature that's cool enough in Windows to bring over to the Mac. And I'll show you that now. Hey Cortana, what's the population of Singapore?
5.40 million in 2013.
Hey Cortana, what's the temperature in Moscow?
Right now, it's 59 and mostly sunny in Moscow.
What's that in Celsius?
Hey Cortana, where am I? Try that again. Hey Cortana, where am I? Oh, wow.
We have an issue here with ambient noise, I guess, which...
Hey Cortana, where am I? We're going to skip that one.
it does work.
You're located
That's a spelling mistake! Spelling mistake! Absolutely right.
That doesn't count. That's a Microsoft mistake.
That's good, you're not there. You guys are training on it.
So we were even able to get Cortana to do some things it can't do on a Windows PC. Hey Cortana, launch Pages on the Mac.
All right, here's Pages, Mac.
So I'm writing my report. It's a piece of fact I don't have. Hey Cortana. Hey Cortana. What's the melting point of mercury?
Come on, everyone knows this.
Minus 37.89 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's not like that's the transcription. It says something different.
Like I
There's
said,
37.89, there's 38.
Microsoft mistake, not us.
So I knew there was a reason I used
This
it.
is it, they do this on their own.
So whether you're using a Mac app or a Windows app, Cortana is available for you. Siri is not available on the Mac yet. So if you want a personal, intelligent assistant on your Mac, Cortana is the only game in town.
So in Parallels Desktop 12, when they have released Siri for the Mac, can you then say, hey Siri or hey Cortana, can you have a chat to Siri or Cortana for me? And just listen to them chatting to each other. You could do that.
I'll send that to the engineers as a request for the next version.
That'd be great. You're wasting time.
Now you have to realize that Cortana can be a little bit opinionated. Hey Cortana, which is better, Mac or Windows? Ooh, didn't even want to answer that one. Try it again. Hey Cortana, which is better, Mac or Windows?
Me? I'd start with Windows.
So yeah,
Typo.
still from Microsoft. So Kevin mentioned also, I've just shown you a feature of Windows 10. Windows 10 is now running, but it's incoherent, so you can't see it. So I'll bring it to the forefront and let you see it. If you haven't had a chance to play with Windows 10, it's really nice. I think the feature that users will like the most is the return of the start menu. The start menu in Windows 10 is a nice merge of the start menu in Windows 7 and the Tiles UI of Windows 8. You can customize it, it's really nice. If you haven't had a chance to play with it, things like this being able to get all your applications in the start menu is really nice. See them in alphabetical list, jump to that sort of thing. Microsoft also added a feature they call the Action Center, which looks surprisingly like the Mac Notification Center.
Steady on.
So, I'm using Windows 10 right now in Windows mode. That's the way I use it. Most of our users don't. They use it in coherence. So we decided to add another button to the title bar of the Mac window. You have your close, minimize, maximize, but now there's a button for enter coherence. So I'll put Windows 10 into coherence, and you'll see a little icon appear in the Mac menu bar. That allows me to bring up the Action Center. Again, it looks very much like the Notification Center of Mac OS. That way it'll be familiar to Mac users. Comes up from the same side of the screen, and yeah, like that. Kevin mentioned earlier performance increases we've had in Windows, and I want to show you that now. So we were able to create a great performance increase for Windows 8 and Windows 10 start times. So I'll boot Windows 8 now. That's about twice as fast as it was in Parallels Desktop 10. I wish I could say it was uniform across all versions of Windows. It's not, because little tricks you pull to increase performance in one OS don't often work in another. This is in Windows 8 and in Windows 10. And so those of you who are still running Windows 95, sorry, can't help you there.
Kirk, can you show everyone what resources you're using on that virtual machine? So what RAM, CPU?
So, it's interesting to see how much RAM is used in Windows 8. I only have 1 gig of RAM and 2 processors assigned to this virtual machine. It's kind of interesting. The most frequent call we get on our support line is, hey, Windows is running really slow now. Did you do anything recently to change Windows configuration? Oh yeah, I gave it more memory, so now it runs faster. That usually is not the case. Usually you want, in the case of Windows virtual machine, to have the minimal amount of memory it will run in, because you don't want to starve the host OS. If you starve the host OS, everything will be slow. And so we tell people to use the recommended amount. See it here, I'm in the green zone. I'm in the very verge, or the edge of the green zone for Windows. This will almost always be what you want to do, unless you're running a really unusual application or have very unusual needs. And I only assigned 2 processors to it. I can assign more. We'll talk about that a little bit later too. Those are, so I've shown you Windows 7, I've shown you performance. I want to also show you El Capitan. So I didn't choose to bring El Capitan as a host OS on my demo machine. This is not released by Apple yet. I wouldn't do that in a press tour. But running it in the guest OS is a really nice way to try out a new operating system. It's isolated. If it blows up or has other problems, it's all isolated to your virtual machine.
Kurt's saying he's crazy, but he's not that crazy.
Okay. And now I'll launch El Capitan. So it's a great way to try out either new OS or a new update for an OS or a build of an OS. Run it in a virtual machine. You're protected from any issues that aren't yet been resolved in that operating system. And those are the main things I wanted to show you now for Parallels Desktop 11. I'll turn it back over to Kevin.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. Is there a better way of doing this? Oh yeah, we didn't have one of those switchers would be nice, wouldn't it? The little. So look, we didn't forget to bring some things over from Mac to Windows, even though we do have Cortana, and that's a big thing for us. When El Capitan does come out, split view, something that's eagerly awaited, and that is going to be there, and a lot of other things, some bootcamp VM improvements for some of the later OSs. But today, we also announced, and I think some of you may have seen, our Pro Edition. this is an edition aimed mainly at an increasing
No, I'm mistaken.
user base of.
The developers shouldn't have an apostrophe. And testers. Testers should
Oh,
have
you're
an
absolutely
apostrophe.
right, but it's not a spelling mistake. It's a.
Well, it is.
That is. It
Well,
wasn't
that's
me.
it is.
Oh, that's, no, you could get
It's
away
a-
with that being
anyway.
that could be possessive.
Yeah,
The developers' tool.
it may be worse than spelling, and I agree it is worse than spelling mistake, but that's not what we're
That's not the
after.
one.
We got some specific plans in it. This is not in the script. We'll give you something. We will give you something. An increasing user base of developers, testers, professional users, system admins. These people, they're now looking at Macs and going, actually, I kind of like those machines. Like a few years ago they were saying that. Now they're going, well, I just bought one. Went out one Saturday and they came home with a Mac, didn't even realize what had happened. Woke up, oh my god. So they're using this. We've added a lot of features for them. Some of you will know what Docker Visual Studio Vagrant Provider is. We're adding a lot more of this as well. It is a subscription product as well. So they will get anything that we add into it will go straight into the version. It's going to be versionless, and they get a subscription on that. It also includes a 1-year subscription to Parallels Access in that product. Oh, there is addition. Oh, there he is! Hang on a second. I think I can fix that. Okay, I fixed it. So Kurt's going to do a quick demo of Parallels Desktop Pro Edition. Okay.
So as Kevin mentioned,
Those
developers
glasses.
and power users have unique needs. We've added new features to the Pro Edition of Parallels Desktop 11. For example, and those of you who are really observant will notice that there are new buttons here in the control center. I can do a core dump of a virtual machine. I can open up a debugging session on a virtual machine. I can access the web server of a virtual machine. Or as I'm going to show you now, I can open up a Unix command line to that virtual machine with just a single click. So I have Ubuntu running here. I'll hit this button here, open up a command line, log in, and now I have full access to Unix commands that are available in that virtual machine. Print working directory, for example, list all my files, and that sort of thing. This may not be your preferred way to interact with a virtual machine, but for some developers it is. And so providing that capability in the Pro Edition is an important thing for developers. I want to show you one other feature, primarily important for a person who actually is doing code development in a virtual machine. In Parallels Desktop 11 comes with a plugin for Visual Studio. And that plugin enables you to develop in one app, develop an app in one virtual machine and debug it in a second virtual machine. So here I've started Windows 7 that has VS installed. I'll launch VS, open up an application I'm developing, and open up some code. That application I want to debug in Windows 8. It'll run in the desktop mode of Windows 8, so I'll start that now. When you install the plugin for Visual Studio that's incorporated with Parallels Desktop 11, you get an additional menu in Visual Studio. And that menu allows you to open up a debugging session in any virtual machine that's currently running. I'll open it up in Windows 8.1. My app just writes to terminal, so now I started. It's at my breakpoint. I'll jump over that breakpoint now and continue the app, and it runs to completion. The ability to develop in one app in a virtual machine and debug in another has several advantages. One, they can be different OSs. Here I'm developing Windows 7, I can test it in Windows 95, with Windows 8, Windows 9, whatever. Second, if my app, which is under development, is unstable, which they often are, and I were to crash in that environment, that's a separate virtual machine. It's isolated from the rest of the network, so my crash only affects that VM, not my development work taking place in Visual Studio. So it isolates the developer and gives them more options. So it's a really great feature. We work with Microsoft to make this happen, and we're really pleased to bring it to Parallels Desktop 11. Those are the things I wanted to show you in Pro Edition. There are many more things that Kevin and I will now talk about.
So was that, did you mention that in passing it was developed in consultation with Microsoft?
Yes, it was.
So the Pro Edition really is a very beefy addition to our current version. It really has added a lot for these developers and testers and power users. Last thing I want to speak about in the last version is we had our Enterprise Edition, which had a name change during the year to our Business Edition. And this is aimed at larger deployments. When we say larger deployments, sometimes that's 5 or more Macs. And that sometimes is a large deployment for Macs, or has been in the past. But we still have universities, primary schools, secondary schools, and a lot of larger organizations that are increasingly having growing populations of Macs. They want to manage their licensing with Parallels, so we provide a licensing portal for that, easily manage them. So if somebody had 100 copies of Parallels Desktop, say for example, at university, and they were giving it to 100 people to use on their Macs for that term, they can then at the end of term strip them out, deauthorize them out of their accounts, and just hand that single key to another 100 people, and they can install it on there. It's very easy to move things around. Also with the Business Edition, you can restrict, you can actually limit the time for virtual machines, have expiring virtual machines, and a lot of other features that are going to be they're really useful for administrators of large networks, including deployment tools. And everything that is included in the Business Edition, all the others are included in that. So Parallels Desktop 11, they get all the features, Cortana, Always On, the Pro Edition, and the Business Edition includes everything. Again, this deck will be passed out to you sometime next week, I believe, from Text 100, including the comparison chart of pricing. Parallels Desktop 11 is including GST, $99.95. Availability, the on-store date will be the same as when the embargo was lifted. So ideally speaking, in a perfect world, we'd have it on the shelves at every single retailer, 2:01 p.m. next Wednesday, right?
Right.
So I'm going to do them all personally myself. But it will be available from that date in these retailers and online. The Pro Edition is slightly more expensive subscription, $124.95 per year, as is the Business Edition subscription. And also the Academic Edition we have a Business Edition Academic. Academics get a 50% discount, so in not-for-profits. The upgrade, $64.95 including GST. Again, all of this information will be in your packs, but no harm to take it down until you get those. There's also an upgrade from the Standard Edition to Pro for $59.95 for the last 2 versions. Upgrades are always in the last 2 versions.
The $124.95 per year is per user?
Per user.
So for the Business Edition, if I had 50 users in my organisation.
We can talk.
Yeah, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
so it's per year per user.
Per year, per Mac. Right. That's it. Not per user in a way, but
per computer.
And it can be moved as well. So the Pro Edition and very easy to use the Business Edition can be. Yes. And now it is time for questions and answers. Questions from you, answers from us. Kurt? Okay.
So, if you're only off the upgrade for 9 to 10 years, do you have any figures on what proportion of you see on 9 to 10 or what proportion on, much older?
We don't really know. We do. A lot of people do upgrade, and we find that we can charge for the upgrade every year, or people are happy to pay it, and our upgrade prices sit in a very nice place. We don't give figures on many people who don't review, and sometimes it can be a case that they don't use the Mac anymore. They use it as a transition, but we certainly don't give out that information. We're very happy with our pricing at those levels, and our users are happy to pay because we have a very, very loyal user base. I think I've been told some people, viewers who have got a review edition, said, "Oh, I would buy that every year." I said, "Oh, just don't tell anyone else that." Any other questions on it?
So, just saying, maybe just the Pro Edition, Parallels Desktop, which is $100 sticker price.
That's right.
Have you got a plan to offer that as a subscription application so that users get upgrades regularly?
The subscription service for Parallels Desktop. Currently, that's available. It's going to be available online. I'll have to get back to you. I have to get back to you on that. But I believe
you mentioned it quite specifically for the other edition.
the other editions are subscription. That's a perpetual. About $99.95 gets you perpetual. There is, and we were currently doing Parallels Desktop 10 as a subscription as well for a slightly lower price. In Australia, it's $89.95 for Parallels Desktop 10, but it's $79.95 for Parallels Desktop. I'd have to confirm if that's wrong. I will if I'm incorrect. That's $79.95 for 1 year.
Is 65, I think you said, and the buy's 100. I'm just trying to work out like what would be. You just pay the 60 because effectively 65 a year for an upgrade is a subscription.
That's absolutely. Yeah. You can skip it,
but you don't have to.
We allow people to skip a year as
Yeah.
well, and some people choose to do that. That they choose to maybe skip a year.
So you don't do it. It's not currently available as a subscription.
It is, even version 10 is now still at the moment. We brought it out about, I believe, maybe 2 months ago. We started offering that as a subscription. That's available in Australia as a subscription online for $79.95 for a year.
So
$10 more gets you the perpetual, but it is that version unless you upgrade.
Yeah.
So people have to make their own decisions. We put it out there, we make our offers. We don't. I know some software companies that's very, very complicated licensing. I think we're quite simple in many ways, but people do have to sit down and do the maths themselves on deciding whether they will upgrade the following year.
Microsoft's very defensive about the software, as they need to be, in terms of making sure that you're running it on genuine hardware, especially for the Windows 10 upgrade offer. Have you actually worked with Microsoft to ensure that Parallels virtual machines will appear as though they're legitimate hardware?
So, the question had to do with upgrading a Windows 7 or Windows 8 virtual machine, and have we gotten any help from Microsoft to make that the case? Yes. So you can see here.
Oh, sorry, girl.
Sorry. Can't see here. You can't see here.
You can't see here. Yes.
In a moment, you'll be able to see here. In a moment. Come on, go there. There is, in fact, an upgrade wizard to Windows 10. There's an issue. There are several ways to upgrade to Windows 10. We've worked with Microsoft to ensure that some of them work for our virtual machines, not all of them. So the particular details are the Microsoft had a mechanism called Windows 10 Reserve that allowed you to get a reservation to upgrade your Windows to Windows 10. That doesn't work in virtual machines. So we worked with them to make sure there were other upgrade paths to Windows 10, and this wizard, when it's engaged, it's not hooked up right now. When it's engaged, will walk you through the mechanism to upgrade. It's slightly different than hardware, but we still provide it. And Microsoft has been very encouraging and helpful with us to make sure that's possible for people doing upgrades in video. Okay.
So if you want to upgrade your Windows 7 or 8 virtual machine on Parallels Desktop 10, do you have to download the ISO and upgrade that virtual machine that way, or are you saying the best way to upgrade to Windows 10 is to get Parallels Desktop 11?
I think the best way is to get Parallels Desktop 11. Yes. For Parallels Desktop 10 users, we have a KB article. We aren't going to go back and upgrade this wizard to put in 10, but there will be a KB article that will walk you through the upgrade process. People have done it successfully. I've done it, but we wanted to make sure that it was in 11, because 11 has the hooks for taking advantage of the features in Parallels Desktop in Windows 10, like Cortana and other features like that.
Does it work with remotes? Can you downgrade?
Ooh, I don't know. I haven't personally tested the downgrade capability, but I'll let you know.
But you could back up your virtual machine, and then upgrade your backup and keep the.
Yeah, you do for sure.
Yeah, you certainly could. I'd have to investigate the licensing issues about related to that, but it should be possible.
I mean, it is possible on Windows. If you upgrade from Windows 7 or 8 to 10, you can actually, in the restore, you can go back to Windows 8 or 7 quite easily. And they did that on purpose. For some reason.
I just haven't personally tested that myself. I haven't done it either on hardware or in a VM, so I don't know.
We'll find out if snapshots work as well. I'm not sure we'll snapshots, because I know you have to, when you upgrade, you then change your name.
An OS upgrade is a major thing.
Yeah.
And making sure that snapshots or things like that will work, that's problematic. Even on a hardware machine. I've done some upgrades of OSs where I took a snapshot, went to roll back, and said, oh, sorry, snapshot not supported in that particular version. So I'd be real reluctant to
Which is why I was saying before you make a duplicate of your VM.
VMs are really easy to do this sort of thing with. If you're going to do anything really, really scary, make a copy of your VM, do it. If it works, great. If there's a problem, you can always roll back. Did I answer your question about Windows 10? Okay. Other questions?
I was going to do that as well. Yeah, let me quickly explain.
Oh, please.
Now you'll notice that we have some interesting coloring. It's not that we couldn't decide what color to go with. So this is Parallels Desktop 11. This is also Parallels Desktop 11. This one you'll find in JB Hi-Fi, Harvey Norman, Officeworks, Domain, Mac, Nextbyte, Mac. Well, I could go on. This one you'll find in. Does anybody want to hazard a guess? Apple stores. So
because they new smaller package.
Look, guys, come on! It's quite obvious. It works very well with their styling, the mood at the moment. So it's and that's the way. We have we have the Pro and the standard version of Parallels Desktop 11 inside the Apple stores, and this is our channel box for everybody else. But we like both equally.
So I know it's always system dependent. There's all kinds of issues, but I'm just curious what you currently feel like the graphics performance situation is when it comes to parity with the system itself. Like I say, there's so many different graphics processors out there, but 5 years ago it was pretty bad if you were trying to run something that had graphics that could sync it. But I'm just curious how you feel like that's come on now with the latest version, how close it feels to just running native.
I'll do a very high-level answer and then I'll hand it to Kurt. Things like the vertical synchronization, DirectX 10, we've had support in those for quite a while now, since version 9, and we're always improving on that. In terms of, when it comes back to the type of users we're really attracting now, people using AutoCAD, that's a very big thing, and it's, a lot of our architects and designers are coming to our product, because that type of thing allows us to do the meshing, the rendering, and the type of things they really need. That wasn't possible in virtualization before. Anything you'd add to that?
So you're right. Graphics is a challenge, virtualization. Our graphics and performance team have worked very well to bring more and more power to the graphics engine, leveraging things like the Mac and other capabilities of the Mac OS to bring as much power as we can to Windows. For productivity applications, we think the gap has been closed. So AutoCAD, things like that, runs just fine. The problem is games. So my experience, and I'm a gamer, my experience has been, if you go out and buy the game that came out last week, it probably won't run on the PC you bought 6 months ago. Gamers are unusual people. I know gamers who won't even think twice of spending $1,000 for a liquid-cooled graphics card to go on their PC in order to run that game at the highest possible performance. I'm never going to be able to match that in Parallels Desktop. So, we have made inroads. Performance of older games is fine. Some newer games is okay. And some of the newer games is not okay. I can't predict when it's going to happen. You have to just try it. And there's not much more I can do than that right now. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Quick follow-up?
Actually, almost at the end of that, I was going to ask about travel mode. That bumps the processing power, and that does also affect the graphics resolution or.
So travel mode does several things. What we tried to do is make your Mac with PD running last longer. So for example, it will lower the processing speed a little bit. It'll go to a reserve mode for graphics. It will temporarily block high-intensive network downloads like Windows Update. So you're on a plane, you've got a half hour to finish this presentation, and you get a 3 gigabyte download for Windows Update? No, I want to do that. You turn that off, give you more time on your machine with Parallels Desktop. So yes, travel mode is actually a combination of about a dozen different things happening. End result was each of those contribute a little bit more, and you can get as much as 25% longer time of running your virtual machine in Parallels Desktop 11 than in Parallels Desktop 10. We think that will save a lot of people who are travelers. The most common machine to use Parallels Desktop on is a MacBook Pro, without a doubt. And so we want to know those people care a lot about battery life, and they're traveling a lot, and so we did a bunch of work encompassed on the marketing name of travel mode. Answer your question?
Yeah, although 30 minutes to get 3 gig, which brings
Yeah.
Are you still using Kaspersky as your PC and Mac internet security? Are you still using Kaspersky as your PC and Mac internet security partner?
I believe, I'll have to check, but I believe that we now offer user choice. Kaspersky is one of them, and you get other choices you can make in your.
Normally it's up there somewhere in the view or somewhere.
It's in the menu somewhere.
Yeah, there. That's the one.
Might not be hooked. It is Kaspersky in this one.
Yeah.
I'm using a late beta of Parallels Desktop 11. The general release won't be available till later next week, and so we'll hook up other things in that. It all depends on both technical parameters and also contractual parameters. But Kaspersky is definitely included.
Any other software partnerships or?
Not that I'm willing to announce, because I don't follow the details of business arrangements, but I believe that there are some that are coming. Other questions?
Okay, tell everybody. Everybody you know.
After the 19th.
After the 19th. Thank you, Alison.
Press stack, press release, and a copy of the process of